And good evening, everybody. Welcome to a latest edition of You Get What You Get. I'm Rickey Hampton, along with my friends Tree McDougal and Tim Turner, coming to you on a Tuesday evening. We got a special start time tonight. Appreciate everybody out there watching on YouTube. And we're also posting this to our African American Athlete Facebook page. And hopefully you can download this show or stream it off that page. But Tim and Tree, it's good to see you. And it is a great time to be in the Motor City, guys. We've been
Yeah,
playing here for 2 weeks.
the
Uh,
Pistons are doing that well, huh?
yeah. Well, the story around town is the Pistons have become the Lions, losing 28 straight games, and the
Go,
Lions
go Red Wolf.
have become the bad boys. But
What's that
Go
on
Red
your head?
Wolf.
yeah,
What's that on your head, Ricky? What is
uh,
that? Is
what's
that
that?
some? Oh man,
Yeah,
sweet.
that's my old line.
Representing.
This cap is probably about 20 years old. It looks like it. But
That's he won it the last time they were in the playoffs, right?
yeah,
Brought it out of retirement.
Yeah. Let me bring it out now.
yeah. I had this when Barry was here. But man, we got some interesting. Well, first of all, it was an interesting weekend uh, in the divisional games, and I think the highlight of those games were the Buffalo Kansas City game with another. eh, I'm not gonna call it a wide right miss. The guy just missed, and that was a game that could have gone either way. And Patrick Mahomes just everybody, well, he can't win on the road. Well, apparently he can. He went in there and outdo Josh Allen, and the guy. I don't think no one's had a better start to their career at that position than Patrick Mahomes. Just your thoughts on the overall weekend. We'll start with you, Tim, of football you saw, and kind of specifically uh, the Chiefs in Buffalo to wind it up.
Well, I start out, me, I'm the get off my lawn, grumpy old man type thing. Um, at the end of the game on Sunday, CBS has their round table of all their experts and stuff. And I am by no stretch of the imagination, I forget the brother's name that's on the show. He used to be a receiver. Uh,
Burleson.
yeah, Nate Burleson. I don't like him because I think he's kind of cornball, but he said, do not blame the kicker for the loss. It's like, Allen threw a perfect pass that Diggs dropped. Allen missed a guy in the end zone. And I say this about, people want to blame the kicker like they wanted to blame Norwood, right? And everybody to a person on that panel pretty much said, yeah, it wasn't the kicker's fault. The only person didn't say boo was Boomer Esiason. Boomer Esiason hates kickers. He always dogs kickers. And I guess he was raised right because the mama said, if you can't say something nice, don't say nothing at all. Everybody around the table has some sort of comment. Boomer just sitting there tight-lipped. But it's like, hey, that showed the importance of kickers. I mean, really, I got as many Super Bowl rings as Boomer Esiason does right now. Okay? And I think Jim Breach had some things to do with him even making the Super Bowl when he was in Cincinnati. So everybody get off of Norwood. I call him Norwood. See, it's reflexive. Get off the kickers with your head. Yeah. But it was a great game. I mean, you got Kelsey and Mahomes tied Brady and Gronk for most touchdowns between the playoff touchdowns between the quarterback and the tight end. Buffalo made I thought it was kind of curious that fake punt with DeMar Hamlin early in the game, but they were playing aggressive, and everybody would be saying that's a great call had it worked. But it looked crazy when it didn't, which is always the case with gadget plays. But that was of the games over the weekend. That probably was number one. I would go number two would be Green Bay and Tampa. I thought for certain the Green Bay was going to pull that out. I was really disappointed in Tampa winning by the mere fact that Tampa wasn't that good. And it should be the Falcons playing against the 49ers this week instead of Tampa Bay.
Well, Tampa. Wait a minute. The Falcons weren't gonna come here and beat Detroit, man. Who's playing quarterback in Atlanta?
Exactly. And y'all already beat us. Like we stole something this year when you went to the game. So that wasn't going to change. I just think that the NFC South should have been the Falcons, and they jacked it around and messed it up,
Yeah,
which is why I coach.
You know what? I'm kind of with you on that. I saw the Falcons firsthand, and actually, I thought Ritter. That was early in the year too when I saw him. Tim.
Right.
I thought he had some. The guy definitely has ability, but clearly something hasn't translated with him. So I'm sure they're going to be looking to upgrade that position, and Russell Wilson's out there waiting.
Right. Well, in the other game, I just had. I'm sure Tree was weeping with the Houston at Baltimore game when C.J. Stroud, finally his magic wore off. But
hasn't worn off.
Okay. Finally, the magic for the rest of the team wore off. CJ was still magical.
Yeah.
But it was tough. I mean, Lamar. What can you do about Lamar Jackson? Like I said, presumptive MVP versus presumptive Rookie of the Year. It was great football, but it was a blowout, and it was nothing that Houston could do to stop it. Which was
tough. Tim, I will say that yes, you're right. I am mourning the loss of the Texas team only because of my newfound love of C.J. Stroud. But I think that the other thing I thought about the weekend was, what all that talk about Lamar's mother and all that smack people are talking about her. What you got to say now?
That's what I'm saying. I wish somebody would say something else about his mama. Yeah. All those people who were dogging him, thinking that he was crazy for having her as his agent. I would like to see somebody.
Were you not one of those people?
I want to see somebody.
Weren't you one of those people? Were you not one of those people who said,
"Look,
what?"
I think I was touched in the head back in the day when that happened. I'm one of those people, and I think this whole season was his best season ever.
Again,
and he's gonna say, "I'm gonna show you."
About his mama.
You do not talk about my mama. I'm gonna show y'all what's up, and he did.
He is an absolute problem. I mean, he is an absolute problem, and that's why really this game with Kansas City is I think the Super Bowl championship.
It is. This is the Super Bowl, and I think Baltimore is going to win. Kansas City, they've been. Gosh, Pat Mahomes, 6 straight AFC Championship games.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. But I think that ends. I think Baltimore is going to win this game.
Yeah.
And you could put the Lions team and 49ers team together, and they're not going to beat Baltimore. We talked about this earlier in the year. Jackson is, I think, 18-1 against NFC opponents. Right. Now, both these teams have seen him once, and he destroyed the Lions and he destroyed the 49ers.
Right.
And, so they may fare a little better, but I just don't see it. And I'm so happy for Jackson just because of the stuff, Tree was talking about. He has gone through a lot from the time he went in here. You had a guy saying he should be a wide receiver, and you had he would never Bill Polian, Hall of Famer, Buffalo Bills GM guy. And you had guys saying he would never be a passer. I mean, and Tim, he's not.
He was out there. I mean, anybody could have had him in the offseason. Anybody could have had him in the offseason. Yeah,
you had 2 shots at this dude.
Yeah.
One coming out of college.
Yeah.
And this offseason.
And it's all about collusion in that regard. But you know what?
No, what? Tell.
The Ravens traded in traded up to get into the first round to get Jackson.
Yep.
Ozzie Newsome saw something.
Yep.
And see, that's the deal.
Yep.
He saw something in Jackson that nobody else saw. People thought he was crazy for trading back into the first round to get Jackson. And when he did, they found probably the guy who is probably, arguably the best quarterback in the league, best player in the league this season.
Yeah, and that was Ozzie's last first round draft pick because he retired from the front office after. Now he's still around the organization.
Yeah, but that was a lovely parting gift.
But that, but he's not there on an official capacity. And I tell you guys, Ozzie Newsome was a brilliant guy. Yeah, and I got my fingers crossed, but I think we got one here in Detroit, in Brad Holmes, a young brother who played his college football at North Carolina A&T, Aggie Pride, that has put together this roster that's going to be playing for the NFC title this weekend. Treat every guy he has drafted. He's had 3 drafts. Every guy he has drafted is still on the roster. Every guy he has drafted. He's got 4 Pro Bowlers that he drafted in the past 2 years. And I'm sure all 4 of these guys he drafted this year would make the all-rookie teams, talking about Jahmyr Gibbs and Laporta, and Branch is just terrific. And Jack Campbell, another terrific linebacker. And this is coming from Brad Holmes, who had been out in L.A., Tim. I think he had been out there for 12, 13 years trying to get a job. I mean, he was obviously had a job with the Rams, but was never able to get kicked upstairs to the driver's seat, and somebody finally took a chance on it. Looked like it's paid off.
Okay, so this is the deal. On the storyline Sunday is not going to be Brad Holmes, because brothers who build teams always be, they won't talk about them. It'll always be what the coach and the coaching staff has done. So it's all going to be about Campbell on Sunday. It's all going to be about Campbell. It's all going to be about, it's not even going to, and they're going to share the stuff with the DB, who's the GM out of San Francisco. They're going to share it with him.
Lynch.
And, John Lynch. They're going to talk about Lynch, and they're going to talk about Shanahan. They're going to share it with those guys. They're going to talk about how astute Shanahan saw something in Purdy, and Lynch saw something in Purdy, but they're not going to talk about Holmes and what he saw in everybody that they picked. I mean, they had so many hits, and you look at so many other teams that have had so many misses in the draft.
Yeah,
the same with Kansas City. They come up with jewels. They really can't. They haven't found a replacement for Hill yet. They come up with jewels. Baltimore drafts well. That you see these teams, these organizations that draft well. Ozzie Newsome, they did give him some credit. They don't always talk about Harbaugh. Really, Harbaugh is underrated in my eyes, because Baltimore has been a consistent winner over the years.
Yeah.
And why do you say they're not going to talk about that, Tim?
Well, they don't talk about Harbaugh in the same way like these other coaches, as if like he's not a genius or he's not really good. But of the 4 teams, Baltimore has been the most consistent. 49ers haven't been in the playoffs that much. Detroit, they just fell into it this year with the guy wanting to bite kneecaps. Tampa, they played in the weakest division in the free world, and they're there. It's just interesting to see that happen. But it was kind of a bittersweet thing with the Lions in Tampa, in that Todd Bowles is the last of the 5 of African American coaches in the playoffs. So you won't have any left. And Morehouse was Todd's first job, so that was kind of torn there. And I keep.
Did you know him? Did you know Todd when he was at Morehouse?
Not at all. I didn't know anything about him until someone said, "Well, he used to be defensive coordinator here." I think he might have been. I'm trying to think what year that was. He might have been on Doug Williams' staff in Morehouse. because Doug was just sitting there, keeping the seat warm till Grambling called.
Yeah.
And then he was gone. So
How was Morehouse during that time when he was there?
they weren't any good.
Okay.
It hasn't changed. I think they had like about 4 winning seasons in the last, I don't know how many years. My freshman year we won. My senior year we won.
But and we've talked about that. When that's going on, that goes beyond the athletic department all the way up to the
absolutely
university's commitment to athletics.
Well, they're trying to give an impression they're giving a commitment to athletics because they're picking a guy who couldn't win in the SWAC to come and try to win in the SIAC. So Hugh Jackson, who was fired at Grambling, is rumored to be in negotiation to become the next coach at Morehouse. So he was really he was the Bengals forever, right? Or was it with Cleveland?
He was with Cleveland.
Cleveland, yeah.
And he was an assistant, a coordinator out in Oakland. I mean, he's had a long run in the NFL. But I think we get I think these guys think, well, he played in the NFL, he coached in the NFL. That doesn't mean you're just going to come down and win and dominate at these levels.
I agree with that.
Was that true?
I agree with that. I mean, you still got to have talent, right?
Yeah,
you got talent and resources.
You got to have recruit. You got to have you got to like you said, the resources and
you
got to have an understanding. And you got to have an understanding of the HBCU culture and environment. Was that Ed Reed found that out down at Bethune?
Yeah, you can't come in there and dog the whole thing. Cause it's like this isn't Miami. We don't have a multi-million-dollar locker room. We don't have it. One of the lockers at Miami is probably the cost of the whole softball budget. So they need to be quiet.
Right. So I don't get that, and we've had those conversations along the way. So we will continue that. Hey, I want to jump to this right quick while I got it. I wasn't able. I was trying to download this. Let me see if I can get this out. The Sanders kids have come under scrutiny.
Criticism.
Hateration. Hateration.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Let me see.
What's the guy's name out of Denver? He's a columnist and he has a blog, and I guess he's going for clicks. He's a nobody to anybody outside of metropolitan Denver. Maybe he's a nobody to anybody outside of subscriptions for the Denver Post, for what it's worth.
Yeah,
but I don't get it.
That's a picture of Shedeur Sanders.
He's
as a crossing guard.
No.
In his Louis Vuitton runway, Paris Fashion Week, men's wear.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, that's a nice look, man. He's a handsome young man.
That he is.
Yeah, I think the criticism to me was equivalent to just shut up and play football.
Exactly.
I don't. You're wasting your time over here trying to.
Yes.
You away from the first team practice. I'm like, he got permission to go. And what's wrong with?
My daddy said I could go to Paris.
What's wrong with trying to do other things? Then he criticized was he the same guy that criticized the NIL? It's like, see what the NIL is doing. I'm like, they can make money. Back in my day, I guess he's saying, did he play sports at all?
I don't know. I think he did. Oh, no, time out. I'm sorry. He played for the Broncos, I think, for 2 or 3 years as a tight end. No one ever heard of. He might have been playing behind Shannon Sharp, which is why nobody heard of him. He's a tight end for the Broncos several years ago.
Yeah, it's just like, back in his day, they didn't have they just had to play football, and that was their only path. But let's say they don't go to the pros. They've got, what's wrong with having other options?
Well, that's the thing
And
with
get
people
and
they
get
hyper
swag.
focus on that. Yeah, you're right, Tree. These guys up here are like Neanderthals. It's like football 24/7. It's like, nah. Some people like to do things outside of football. Some people like to, they're managing their own brand now, and that's the deal. And I think the Sanders boys probably have a better leg up on anybody because of what Dad does. He probably already have a plan, a master marketing plan, and the whole 9 yards. In addition to these kids being incredibly talented, they're working for a lot of talent.
I think I read that Deion said something like when he was going to Colorado, I'm bringing my Louis Vuitton with me or something, bags with me. And then they were modeling Louis Vuitton. And so he said, yeah, I told you, y'all thought I was kidding or something like that. I told you guys I was going to be bringing it. I was like,
right.
Like I said, that master plan of his connections that can also, they also said, that same guy said it was not a recruiting tool. And I beg to differ with that because I think that if you get your hands on some of that ancillary, well, that and just the connections that, I mean, it's not all football. Everybody's not going to be a star. So why not try to do some other things? I think that was just more Deion hating.
Well, it's a great point. I think it's just people who are jealous of anybody that has the ability to do something that they wouldn't do or couldn't do. And I mean, there's some people who probably will not even play professional or don't care to play pro ball. They can make all their money now. It's like, I mean, if I'm Arch Manning and I'm not that good, Arch Manning is making $3.5 million as the second or third string quarterback at the University of Texas.
Come on.
Boy ain't seen the field, but like about a handful of plays, he's making $3.5 million. Brock Purdy, I think, barely makes $900,000.
Yeah.
It's just quarterback in the NFC Championship game. Okay, so
that's a great point.
Isn't going to college about making money to do stuff?
Expand your horizons.
Yeah.
Well, let me just read this. The Sanders brothers recently made an off-season trip to Paris to walk in the 2024 Louis Vuitton Men's Fall/Winter Show presented by musician Pharrell Williams. And they missed a team meeting to do so. And Deion responded saying it was absolutely fine. And, a team meeting this time of year on that level is not a big deal. And he said, Deion said, any young man on our team that has a dream, a goal, or aspiration, I allow them to go fulfill those, not just my son. And this time of year, they probably gonna have another 100 illegal practices. So if he misses a team meeting to go do something, more power to the kid, man.
I mean, I'd do it.
But for both of those young men, and I tell you, it's a lot more substance to both of those guys than just the flash. They showed their toughness as football players, especially Shador. Tim, he took a beating. He took a beating.
Yeah, and I think this guy may have been one of the columnists, or somebody in Denver was calling what Deion was doing by having his kid out there. They likened it to child abuse. Yeah, because he was getting beat up so much during the season. It's like your offensive line stinks. He's getting crushed every play. So, you can't doubt his toughness or his willingness to get out there. He didn't say, I can't take this beating anymore because my body won't be in shape to wear this fashion stuff on the fall line. He didn't stop that kind of foolishness. He wasn't a hand model like George Costanza or something.
Hey, let's get to some NBA because we really got breaking news out of the NBA. Milwaukee Bucks 30-13 fired their first-year coach Adrian Griffin 43 games into the season. They're 30-13, second best record, third best record in the NBA. But you know what? I actually got to watch him coach his last two games because they played back-to-back games here in Detroit against the Pistons over the weekend. And the lowly Pistons, without their best player, Cade Cunningham, almost beat them twice. And was really concerning, they scored 135 points on the Bucks in the first game and scored 113 last night and lost by 8 or 9 only because they ran out of gas. And the Pistons were getting anything they wanted against the Bucks defense. And they are a very poor defensive team. And I think everybody knew they were going to take a little step back because you trade Drew Holiday, one of the best defensive guards in the league, for Dame Lillard. Your defensive level is going to drop a little bit. But this was really concerning. And I'm wondering, is it because they have become such a poor defensive team? When they won the title, I think that was 3 seasons ago, they gave up 110 points a game. Now they're giving up almost 121 points a game. And Dame, even the other night, he had 45, but he gave up 30. I mean, he was getting posted and time and time again. So I just wonder how all that comes about. And were you guys surprised to see a guy 30-13 lose his job?
You know, my husband and I were talking about it earlier, and it's like he saw it coming because how he interacted. You know, you have to get along with your star player. And so, you know, as long as that wasn't happening, I think that led to that. And then also, didn't he hire somebody who was an assistant coach?
Terry Scott.
Yeah, and then he quit, right?
Well, that's because he and Dame had some history.
Right.
Dame and Lillard, yeah, so they had to that wasn't gonna work. Yeah.
So I did. What did you think, Tim? Were you surprised?
Absolutely surprised because they had the second best record in the East, and it's like if that's what it takes to get fired, there's a whole lot of people should be nervous tonight because they're not on the level of the Bucks. And you know, it's just, and it was essentially defense because I think they ranked second in offensive efficiency, but they're like 22nd in defensive efficiency.
Yeah,
and that's the thing, and they're not playing defense. And I guess that's frustrating to the superstars who have understanding that press conferences kind of like intimates that, hey, we don't know what we're doing on defense. And it's illustrated by the Pistons knocking them off. Or, you know.
Well, the Pistons didn't beat them, but the fact they had a chance to beat them, you probably should get fired for that. Right. Hey, man, the Pistons almost beat you. Well, they didn't beat you. No, they almost beat you. You got to go, man.
Yeah.
You don't have to go home, but you got to get the hell out.
Yeah. So, you have that thing. It's like you can look, but you're like, man, you know, I'm down here at a team that is just treading water. You know, they're trying to find their way into the play-in game. This is the second best team in the conference, and they're thinking that's not good enough.
Who did you say was going to be the interim coach? You said something about him when you got called.
And I was telling Tree and her husband earlier, Prunty was also the interim coach with the Hawks coach when Nate McMillan got fired last year. Prunty was on the Hawks coaching staff, and he stepped in and coached for a couple of games until the cat is in there now. But it's like Prunty seems like if he's on your coaching staff, you better look over your shoulder because if you fired, he's right there. He's Johnny on the spot.
They bring him in to
designated interim coach.
Yes, absolutely.
Tim, you're familiar with their previous coach. He was in Atlanta and did a good job there. Budenholzer, who won a title there, and they were a much better defensive team. They had much better defensive personnel too. I got to keep saying that.
Right. Bud was good, but it's idea. I don't know why he got fired in Milwaukee, because I guess you know. I mean, he got them to the point where he won a championship with Milwaukee.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, you know, it's like the next year he was out. And I'm wondering if that's Antetokounmpo, his thing. That's two coaches. Is he going to start getting that branding as a coach killer? Is that what's going to happen now?
Coach killer.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do some T-shirts with that on there. Coach Killer.
There's some issues
maybe.
in the NBA. So, and speaking of coach, I'm going to play this highlight first. Let me see if I got the. Now we'll go to the other one. Karl Anthony Towns had 60. I think he had 62 points the other night.
Right, 62. He had 40 something in the first half, and he was trying to go for the NBA record in first half points, and they were just feeding him.
Yeah,
Nobody else really was trying to go to the hole. They saw him, and they would just go get him the ball.
Yeah.
Ricky, who's this video courtesy of?
You know what? I'm thinking this is
This came up, I think, NBA.com.
Okay.
It's Valley Sports did the game, but it's NBA.com, I believe.
Okay.
And that's Karl Anthony. I mean, he had it going. They were rolling. Best record in NBA. They're at home at the crib against the lowly Charlotte Hornets. He was rolling. He was shooting. Let me just move forward a little bit. He's still scoring.
He scored every basket they shot. My goodness.
Every time we see him, he's scoring. He's scoring again. He's scoring
Ran
again.
down scoring.
But,
I'm going to score on my seat now.
On my back.
Boom. Thank you.
Wow.
No
let me
foul.
tell you, this did not end well. The Hornets come back, win the game, and the Timberwolves coach, Chris Finch, was highly pissed after the game. Let me see if I can get this from Coach Finch.
Chris, what happened in this one to let it slip away?
And this is courtesy of the T-Wolves television network.
Well, I mean, it was an absolute disgusting performance of defense and immature basketball all the way through the game. So it really didn't slip away. It had been there from the jump. So this is what happens when you have this type of approach.
You saw that from the beginning of the game right through the
For sure, yeah.
How do you go about trying to right the ship when you see it's like that from minute one?
I kept, imploring them to try to compete and play some defense, switching back between man and zone, anything to contain the ball, push it, get up on the shooters. Messages weren't getting through, so.
It seemed like all season when Carl or Ant start the first quarter off and just scoring a lot of points, and it's coming pretty easy. That leads to the team's worst basketball.
Yeah.
How do you address that? Because there are going to be quarters where it's good when they start out hot, but not have it lead to bad team basketball from there.
I mean, listen, you're spot on. I mean, there's lots of times when just because you've scored 2 or 3 or 4 points in a row or baskets in a row, it doesn't, obviously we're going to try to feed a hot hand, look for a hot hand, but at some point we got to get back to making the right play. We got to get back to doing the right things. That's just, like I said, there's a lot of ways to be immature. There's always a lot of ways to be immature. And there was a lot of immature performances here throughout the roster. We totally disrespected the game ourselves, and we got exactly what we deserved. So,
Chris, did you also see? I mean, did it turn into Carl trying to hunt like
absolutely
a big number?
Yeah, I mean it was. I mean, but for a while, it was going.
Hey, coach.
I mean, see now Tim is a ball hog, so he's probably like. When I played basketball with Tim over years, he's always been one of these guys hunting shots. But I mean, think about it. The guy scores 62 points. He's getting no love whatsoever because his coach just called him a ball hog.
Right.
And call him a selfish team. I actually love that.
Man. Yeah, when your coach is up there just totally dogging you, if he's not on board with you, it kind of taints it in a big plus, they lost the game. Wonder if they'd won the game, would he still said the same thing? That's the thing. And talks about immaturity. Yeah, they're a young team, but they have the best record in basketball, right?
Yeah, I still think they still got
Yeah.
it.
So that's a tough thing to take, But the NBA is trying to steal all the thunder tonight because you had a big trade also tonight, today, where I got Terry Rozier goes to Miami in exchange for Kyle Lowry, and people are like saying, yeah, that's the move that the Heat need to make to put them over the top. So let's watch Miami down the stretch. And if
What do
I'm
you
Kyle
think?
Lowry, I'm like, man, Charlotte.
Yeah. But I think he's gonna get bought out. I think somebody will buy him out. I mean, they will work a deal. But what I like about what the coach said, you see so many guys coddled in the NBA. We were just talking about Giannis. The Bucks bending over backwards to appease him. His brothers on the team. I think were both his brothers on the roster.
Not just one.
Yeah, his cousin's the ball boy. His
his best friend up there is waving towels. It's a lot of people on the payroll up right now.
Yeah, so to see a coach get after guys, and to his credit, Karl Anthony Towns said, yeah, when they went to him with what he said, yeah, that's the same thing he told us in the locker room. So he wasn't saying one thing to
or anything. He was saying exactly what I told him.
Yeah,
you're immature. Yeah. You look crazy, and we lost.
Yeah, okay. And so as a coach, as a player, that's what you want to hear.
Yeah,
from your coach is consistency. And the big thing that stood out with that to me, Anthony Edwards only had 9 points. You got 62, and Anthony Edwards only got 9 points. So
you look at that, but still, you had 2 guys that had 11 assists. And, a lot of those with the time were off of Towns' shot. So it's like, what's this guy? Gobert had a double-double.
Yeah.
So Edwards was a point away from a double-double. So, people were getting fed for sure.
So I just thought that was interesting, that what occurred there. I mean, dude scores 62 and gets chewed out by his coach.
But in Philly, though, Joel goes for 70. Nobody says boo. He was just as a black hole there in Philly as anybody else was. Once the ball went in, it didn't come back out.
Right. Yeah, first job should be to try to win the game, though, right? So,
well, yeah, that should be the objective. It's not always the objective.
That helps when you try to win the game. But he was going up against Wembyana. I think he was trying to send a message to that young fella. I think this is from.
Wow, he's only got 1 point.
Yeah, and actually, Wembyana had 33 points in this game.
Right,
but the other guy had
33.
Kevin Durant did a post-game press conference, and I think Kevin scored 42 points, and he said something like, "Man, anybody gonna be talking about me?" It's like you had a guy scoring 62 and another one 70. You're like, yeah, so what?
Yeah, I remember a couple years ago we had our good friend Ray Scott on, and we were showing some old highlights of Ray, and it was against Will Chamberlain. Ray had a great game. Ray had 29 points and 13 rebounds. Will had like 54 points, 30 rebounds, 5. I'm like, Ray. He's like, yeah, that's pretty much how it went.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's the game of your life, and Wilt Chamberlain gets up there and it's like, so?
Yeah, and that was just another day at the office
right.
For Wilt back then. So Embiid is a terrific player. And it's going to be really interesting because the NBA season, as they head down the stretch here, the trade deadline is February 8th. We'll see how these teams are reshaped. Tim mentioned trade today with Terry Rozier, and we'll see. Sure, there are going to be some other moves, and I think there are going to be some other firings. I mean, I think some teams are going to say, "Damn, Milwaukee did this."
Exactly. You have to be kind of
I'm sure
terrified.
Darvin Ham out in LA where they're 22-22 was going like,
Well,
really?
only thing that
Gene
matters there
Russell,
is if
Jeannie
LeBron goes
Buss
in there and says,
me?
"Please keep, I want to keep Ham," and there's nothing else you could do about it because what was it? There was the coach for Phoenix used to coach the Lakers, right? And I mean, they went up there and they beat the
won a
snot out of
title.
the
Won a title, man.
Yeah, he won a title with the Lakers, and his team beat the Lakers by a bunch with Kevin Durant playing for Phoenix. So it's like it's not always the coach's fault. It's the roster that the other team has, and the Lakers aren't impressive at all.
No,
I mean they're just not just a average team. There aren't too many teams that are head and shoulders great in the West. It's pretty much wide open. Golden State looks very vulnerable. Phoenix doesn't look like they're invincible. Denver's still the class of the West, and you know, because Jokic is just as good.
Their top four, the Clippers, are playing really well now. After they lost 5 straight when Harden came over.
Right, you're talking about the chemistry's not there, and
actually, 2 good young teams at the top in the West: Minnesota, 30-13, and Oklahoma City, 29-13. And Oklahoma City probably has 15 first-round draft picks coming up, which unfortunately in the NFL means jack. I mean, in NBA means jack because it's just hard to make it into this league and have an impact.
Oh yeah, an immediate impact. I think this year you think about somebody coming into the league who's really good, but the league is pretty much telling you you're not that good yet. And a case in point was a story I was reading today that if LeBron James makes the All-Star game this year, he will have made it 20 straight seasons. Huh?
If who? You kind
LeBron,
of jumped.
LeBron James. He would have made the All-Star team in 20 straight seasons.
Yeah.
And this is after not being on the All-Star team his rookie year.
Yeah.
He was really upset about that. But I think he either ties Kareem or surpasses Kareem for the most All-Star game appearances. But, making 20 of them speaks volumes for this kid. He came into the league. Go ahead.
I was going to say, he was like young when he came in the league. So.
Oh, yeah. He was like, probably couldn't even drive.
Hey,
when he came in.
He had time.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Tree.
No, that was it. Yeah. I was just going to say, so he's been in a while. So, yeah. You can get 20.
I was just going to say, Tim, to your point, look at Wembyana. Generational talent. Everybody wants him. He's in San Antonio playing for a Hall of Fame coach. The Spurs are 8-35.
Right.
I mean, he's a really good player. I mean, and it's going to get that, but they are 8-35.
Yeah, they don't have a roster around them, pretty much. And Coach Pop can only coach what you have.
Right.
You can't, and that's the hard part. But I think that he's in the right place because the Spurs and Pop are international. I mean, you think about that Ginobili, and they had several other people who are from different countries.
Europe, the point guard from Paris,
Tony Parker.
Yeah.
And there's a deal there. And, somebody foolishly asked Pop about, can these guys, are they smart? And, Pop is pretty much like, y'all asking this question, and they're the ones that know 2 and 3 languages.
Yeah.
And you're asking if they're smart players. Here we got people who need subtitles for English. These cats know three languages. So
that's smart.
You love Pop, and he's a cat. He ain't worried about his job, his legacy, his status, none of that.
Right.
He's a guy that take the mic during the game and tell the crowd, Look, y'all shut the hell up and stop booing
Yeah.
Kawhi Leonard. Come
Hey,
on,
what did
man.
he do to y'all? Quit booing. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay.
Yeah.
Pop.
And they
I like it.
stopped. And they
Yeah, they
stopped.
did.
I mean, he will call any and everybody out to task, politics. The guy had.
Oh, he
He's
understands it because he's a former Air Force guy, so he knows what it's like to be around different cultures and how you need everybody to work together to achieve goals, and which is why he's able to deal with the varied egos and nationalities and ethnicities that come along with being in San Antonio. Nothing helps you. When you're in a foxhole with somebody, all you care about is the color of the uniform they have on. You don't care about the color of their skin. And Pop has learned that early on. So you have to give it to him because he's a guy that really can't abide foolishness relative to racism, which is that was always been something about him.
Yeah. To your point, I can't remember which one you guys said it, but you've got Wembanyama, but then you've got to have the support right around him. You can't put everything on this one player. He needs some more talent around him. Is that what you were saying?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the dude scored 33 points and get 27 blocks and so many steals, and they still lose by 15. And that would kind of wear you out. That'd be very disheartening. You're playing your best ball. There's a photo out there. It was 2 days ago I saw it, where Wembanyama is towering over this dude on a dunk. It was brutal because the dude he was dunking over and had half his torso over this guy's head was 6'10".
Wow. Yeah.
It was like it was way over top of this cat's head. Yeah. So he's going to be a force for years to come. Stays healthy.
His day is coming. Yeah.
He's still not big as a pipe cleaner. He needs to do some better work there with his body there. But he's going to be a force.
And if you look at those clips of Embiid, he had a field day just going right through him.
Moved him around. Yeah. He moved him around.
Yeah.
He sure did. But I think they already said that, and he may have even said that he knew he needed to kind of, work on.
Yeah.
Work on
he knows it. He knows they have to keep the air conditioner down low in San Antonio because they turn it up, he gonna fall over. That's what I'm hearing.
Hey, moving on. The Big Blue Tigers of Tennessee State just signed their first hockey player, making them the only HBCU to have a hockey team. Nashville has a long tradition of hockey in that town. Minor league hockey, the Nashville Dixie Flyers. Yep, that was their name. Back in the day, the Nashville Dixie Flyers back in the day. And now, of course, you have the Nashville Predators and the NHL. But I tell you, I just wonder about the athletic leadership at TSU. They have no understanding of TSU fans and their community. Because I see it in everything they do. Tennessee State once had a great baseball program, sent guys to Major League Baseball. They no longer have baseball, but they got hockey.
Dude.
And nothing about hockey, but come on, man.
I have the same mindset for my dear old Morehouse that has they do horse equestrian team.
Really?
And they have a volleyball.
Since when?
Since the past year, they have an equestrian team.
Wow.
And I'm like, really?
That's expensive.
It really is.
It is.
Hey, you gotta feed a horse. You don't have to feed a baseball bat.
Did somebody donate money to start the program?
I don't know what happened, but I saw the thing when I said, we have a what? Can you fund your major sports first? I mean, our track team is outstanding every year. Willie Hill is a Hall of Fame track coach, and they need more, to do things a lot better with the track team. Football is middling. It hasn't won consistently. Basketball is the only thing that's won on a regular basis. And it just kind of floors me that that we do these things like that, because we got a volleyball team. This came back from the West Coast after getting destroyed by Stanford and UCLA and some other teams. I mean, let's focus, people.
I
And
was going to say,
hockey,
this like just grasping at sports.
now you got one hockey player, one
At
puck,
the first,
one
this is the first.
yeah. So
At
you
first.
people are gonna be able to, what's that, the Bridgestone Arena, to watch that one
Yeah,
hockey player.
well, I guess so, and it'll be about 12 people in there, just like it is when the football team plays at Nissan Stadium, and it'll be 3,000 people because they play in Garden City College of
Right.
Texas, Arcana. I mean,
Yeah.
dude, and you got a head coach. You're 5-3. Well, we're winning. We're winning. Why won't people come see it, dude? First of all, 5-3 is not considered winning by TSU standards of the past. And you coming from Ohio State, you should know that.
Well, he should know better than mess with trying to find, mess with the Wolverine mascot too. So
Yeah,
gotta be careful about that.
Well, he hadn't learned much at all. So,
No.
hey, before we get out of here, man, I do want to. We got to give our props out to and best wishes to Ryan Sandberg, one of baseball's great players who's battling with cancer. Tim, your thoughts on Ryan?
That dude, I mean, after the Phillies traded him to Chicago, he took off. He was the guy with Renaissance of the Chicago Cubs back in the day in the 80s, when WGN was a national cable outlet. It's like the Braves and the Cubs in America. Those are the two teams you watched. TBS for the Braves and WGN for the Cubs.
Yeah,
those teams the Cubs had with him and Durham and Keith Moreland and people like that. I mean, they were a fun watch. And Rhino was awesome. That guy was just terrific. Just smooth in the field, outstanding hitter, baseball Hall of Famer. And I understand he has metastatic prostate cancer. And he's just now starting to be treated for it. So everybody is our best to Rhino and what's going on with him. And so you're seeing him making some of the plays there at second base there for the Cubs. There it is with Durham, and there he is on the base path.
But, by him announcing his diagnosis, I hope that it will, create awareness of the importance of taking care of your health.
I was thinking, but this is like the third person this year that has had this has been like a highlight person. One was, I think, Andre Brower had the same issue. And on Monday, Dexter King here in Atlanta at 62 had a battle with prostate cancer. And now Ryan Sandberg has it. So it's just a wake-up call for brothers, people everywhere to get those checkups. Check yourselves on a regular basis. And take care of yourself.
Right. And I think people probably think, it's not going to happen to me. I mean, I know a couple of people who've had prostate cancer and so I think that if all these high profile people are not paying attention, I mean, they're being talked about, but then we go into the next news cycle. What is the thing that's going to spur people to take care of their health other than? So make sure you tell people to take care of their health. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, guys, we're going to get out of here. It's been a great evening. Next time you see me, if the Lions win, you may not see me. So
if they win, you may not see. If they lose, you may not see you.
So I'm thinking, we're playing with house money, man. I was like, maybe we could make the playoffs this year. I wasn't expecting all this. So
But I would ask you to send me a
That's
hat, but I don't think it will fit on my hair. So I'll have to go for a shirt or something if they win.
If they win, Trey, I got you one coming.
That's the NFC champions shirts are on their way.
Absolutely.
We'll
Absolutely.
support the team. We'll support you.
Well, we appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll be back at this. We'll be back at our regular time next Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And tell a friend about the show. And please continue to support us. From my friend Tim Turner, I'm Rick Hampton, Tree McDougal.
All right. Be kind, everybody.